Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Pokemon Gold. This is turn 75. Let's jump into things. Alright, so we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on here as per normal. We will run our way through it and see where we are left off. So we have completed Evocation 6. Now we are running up a Blood Magic. We make it all the way to Blood Magic 4. We'll be working on Blood Magic 5. We have casted Trade Wind with Thula. An arrow has shot out at Urborn, so we're doing seeking arrows. Right? He managed to escape though. Carball cast teleport. Auspex found nothing. Harspex found nothing. We cast Seeking Sport. Dark Knowledge found nothing. An arrow came out and did strike Urborn, and he died instantly. Unfortunate. Augury came out, found nothing. Arcane Probing found nothing. We cast King of Elemental Fire, and we got Ruax. Very cool. Gnomelore got nothing. Griffin Rock was searched, got nothing. Debrithia was searched, got nothing. Got 10 Blood Slaves. Okay. Lost a unit during March. We witness an Etten fighting Pewter for Ekritique. And this is actually, this is funny because this isn't just any Etten. This is Hacker. So this is a mercenary. But he's just gonna get ripped apart by Pokemon because he didn't have anything. Poor Pecker. Okay. Our military force has been beaten by a stronger force from Pewter City. This is the force that Urban was leading, right? So he got Seeking Arrowed, and now the force has been crushed. But again, that's fine. We attacked in Urfall, right, with our Steelix champion. This was a throne site, I believe. And this is Intimina, who is gonna wipe the floor with what's here, basically. Oh yeah, and we did Blade Wind, actually. And I took a look at it. Blade Wind actually did not fatigue us very much at all because we have such high Earth Magic on Intimina. So that's actually really interesting to me. I think it actually fatigued us less than just stomping around actually does. So might be a useful tactic for the future. So we took Urfall. Playful winds have been captured, distilled into diamonds, and transported to your laboratory by your mages. So air gems +3. We got growth +2 and province income +5 in Viridian City. That's very nice. And we got a little gold event in Viridian City. We're getting pretty consistently good luck. That's nice. It's very nice. We have discovered a grunt commander, patrolled him out and killed him. We completed the wooden fort in Olivine City. Cured some battle afflictions, cured some diseases, did some more patrolling, starving in places, did some promotions. Alright. That is the turn. And this is what the board state looks like. So, we've got a bunch of stuff going on. This is turn 75. And this is something I want to point out at the very beginning of turn 75. Because of us taking... he hadn't actually captured Scrawl Point, but because of us taking Urfall, Pewter actually only has 3 thrones right now. We have 2 thrones. We are capping another throne this turn over here in the Great Dunes. So this is actually turning into potentially into a bit of a competition. And so I try to do the whole... I don't do this on camera much, but I try to do the whole, at the beginning of every turn, look around and be like, can I win the game? Is there an avenue to me winning the game now? And I think that is opening up a little bit more, right? We've got Yazar, who is a H3. We've got Radon, who is not Radon, Zinville, who is an H3. We've got Chuck, who is an H5. we've got Utheladon, who's an H3. And we've got a couple of thrones near us, right? We've got Trentspore and we've got the Curtain Wall, who are both right on our borders, very easily obtainable for us. And with what we have right now, we have 1, 2, 3 thrones in our control, and capped, or about to be capped. So that's an interesting thing. We could easily make that 5 between Trentspore and the Curtain Wall. So, unfortunately, we still need 4 more. This is kind of an absurd amount of ascension points, right? So, we would still need 4 more, which means we're still gonna have to heavily invade another person's territory. And I say another person, but really that has to be Pewter City, because Pewter City is the one with the majority of the thrones, right? If we take a look at like Celadon's space, no thrones. We take a look at Atlantis' space, he has 1 throne, right? We've already kind of talked about Curtain Wall, right? Then we have 1 throne in Violet City's space. I guess 2 thrones if we're talking about Trentspore, because that is in his cap circle, but he still has yet to take it. So, I mean, he doesn't want to take it because it's Throne of Death. What's the point, right? It's just going to cost him military strength to take it, and it's not going to be worth anything to him. So, but so Violet City is like 1 we could potentially tag, right? That would put us at 6. We could try to tag Atlantis's. That would put us at 7. We'd still need 2 off of Pewter. And unfortunately, like I've been looking at our options. We have H3s, right? We've got Yazar. Like I said, we've got these Machampions that are H3s. Unfortunately, though, these Machampions severely lack mobility, right? They don't have boot slots, so you can't put good movement on them, right? They don't have chest slots, so you can't put things like Shademail Harborkins on them. So I can't stealth them in with a couple of like Steelixes, and then all of a sudden spring a trap here, etc. Right here. It's just not going to do anything. So, because we can't get people in there to do that. So we're kind of limited on what our options there are. We've got to take a big fight. That's no other way about it, right? Is we've got to look at those options. I do think this is an option, right? And obviously these 2 are options. So those are things that we need to consider. I also think keeping Dreyer Caverns in mind needs to be consideration, because it's actually only a couple away from our capital. So we got to think about that. But so I'm trying to keep the concept of can we win the game in mind. But as I've said, here's another reason why I'm talking about this is there are growing voices becoming bored with the game, right? Pewter and I are in very clear fashion incredibly far and away ahead of everybody. Pewter is far ahead of me, so it's one of those scenarios where most of the people in the game are kind of like, whatever, the game's over, we're just kind of like piddling around. And some of those people are basically like, well, if that's the case, why don't we just end the game, right? Which means, right, if we do something like that, probably what will be done is a arbitrary turn will be set, right? And it'll be, okay, whoever has the most thrones at that arbitrary turn gets it, okay? And if that's the case, I want to be ready with mindsets of, okay, how can I sneak this, right? Can I grab Trintspore and the Curtain Wall, maybe sneak Mag, maybe sneak whatever 140 is, I don't even fucking know, right? And go from there. Can I do that? That would be interesting, you know? So I'm trying to keep those types of things in mind. We will see how it goes. Alright, so I'm Jack and Jaw about all of that. Let's actually take a look at a couple things. Let's look at the score graph first. Okay? So province-wise, we've kind of evened out. We're going into this pattern where we're rating Pewter a little bit. He's counter-rating very easily. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. But the entire time we're doing that, we're filtering stealthy parties into his lands and testing his defenses, etc. Okay? Forts have mostly leveled out. He has far and away more forts than everybody. Income-wise, we have started to grow higher. We're going to continue to do that, but a lot of our focus is going to be in more utility. I really like the Amphiroses, but we need power, and the Amphiroses aren't providing me power against Pewter at the moment. So many plosives. The Amphiroses aren't providing me power against Pewter. Fuck me. Oh. Gym income is as it has been. Research is as it has been. Dominion, we are trending upwards. And then this is what I actually wanted to talk about, right? So, army size. We have seen a massive dip in army size for Ekrutik, and a pretty, substantial dip for Pewter compared to overall scenario, right? And this is because there's a big battle here in Ekrutik City, I believe. So, I think Ekrutik just lost the majority of its big 1,000 stack, right? And I think Pewter got hit pretty hard in it. I don't know if they're able to repel Ekrutik now. I'm not sure, but we are going to try to find out with the scout. So that's really interesting stuff. Let's talk about our fronts. Okay, so up in Olivine City front, we are basically, the big thing that's happening up here is we're casting trade winds. We've buffed up Irma with our boosters, and we're going to be casting trade winds for 10 turns up here. And then we are moving all of our people. We're moving Zenville, we're moving Chuck, we're trying to move all these different nurses onto Olivine City. We're still recruiting more nurses. We're recruiting more nurses over in Dragonscale Mountains as well. I think we're actually, no, we're not recruiting nurses over here. But we're recruiting a bunch of nurses. We want to get like 6 or 7 nurses over here because we want to cut through a lot of these diseases and wounds as quickly as possible, because we are losing people. We're losing every time, losing people to cripple march every time we move. And we're going to start losing people to actual diseases. So part of this, Olivine City is about to turn into a heal mill. And we're going to see how that goes. And then we're actually probably going to teleport or Cloud Trapeze Chuck out and go have him do other stuff. And we're probably going to leave Zenville here for now, because we can either march eastward, right, and do something. Potentially march northward and do something. Or we could sail up to 140 and do something. So, we're going to do some of those scenarios there. Wiglia is patrolling with all these Marapes. We're getting a whole shit ton more Marapes. Asapu is coming up here and going to be creating a university next turn. And then that university is going to be dedicated basically to Marape spam. Probably going to do another nurse or 2 for the next 2 turns here in Olivine City, and then probably switch over to either Amphiroses or Steelix champions. Okay. And then down here, Bilgo is actually, we're recruiting a Crush Girl, right, for a leader, and we're recruiting rubies just everywhere because I need more vision. I need more solid vision everywhere. And we're actually gonna start popping out some Pidgeys. I'm probably going to do a similar scenario over here where I put up a university in another couple turns and we start training Pidgeys, because I think Pidgeys are going to be a potentially useful asset. Well, not Pidgeys, but, you know, their evolution, and we go from there. So, okay. That's pretty much the Olivine City. Over in the Saffron City front, we are claiming Throne. The Throne of Fire will be ours. This is going to give our Blessed Troops +3 on attack. That actually matters. That actually really matters for us. You got to keep in mind, right? We've got all of these random buffs now that we are adding to... Cat, what are you doing? My cabinet's just slammed. So we're getting all of these little random buffs that we are adding to, and our Bless is getting better and better. Better and better, right? So we... +3 on attack is definitely important. That's a big deal. So we're happy about that. And we want to look at other thrones for other opportunities. Throne of Death doesn't give us anything except for death gems. This is the throne of... It's the Iron Throne. So it doesn't give us any buffs. And we don't... I mean, Adepts of the Iron Order are great, but don't really care at the moment, right? We've got Astral in other locations, and we've got really high Earth, so that doesn't really do terribly much for us. We've already got access to Crystal Gear, that type of thing, too. So unfortunately, there aren't any other really good buff thrones just laying around for us, but that's something we want to keep in mind. We are recruiting Steelix champions still. We're still site searching a whole bunch, etc. We're making a bunch of moves over here with random individuals, like Pyroflogos is coming. Actually, he's going that way. Who is... He is moving forward to do more site searching. So we're carrying some Amphiroses up towards the Great Dunes. Potentially to... Oh yeah, that's too many. So we might drop some off at Saffron City, but basically we're just trying to like plug some of our forts with, well, actually I might just take them all to Great Dunes anyways and just put some nurses in there. So we wanna garrison our forts with some chaff so that he can't just insta pop our forts and etc. So we gotta make ready for that type of concept. So Saffron City, otherwise there's not a whole lot of stuff. You see this wave of gray is coming in, and these are a whole bunch of scouts that we are sending across. Our scouting has really fallen down. We've lost a whole lot of our scouts, and that's because we've been sitting on fortresses, which is a bad idea when you're just trying to get vision. I was trying to instill uprisings. He's been patrolling very frequently to try to get rid of that. So we're going to stop doing that. We have made a wave of scouts. We're also doing another turn of scout production, so we're going to have not quite this many, but another fair chunk of scouts going out. If we have a good income turn next turn, we will probably do another set. The idea is to flood his lands and other people's lands, right? Because I need vision of everything that's going on, and be nice and smart about it, like park them in, like, Sitha, because there's nothing going on here, but it gives us information, you know? Okie dokie. That's all that's happening in Saffron City. Hoi 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 hoi. Over in Viridian City, we've got surprisingly little going on comparatively. Let's actually look. We've got, so we're recruiting 2 scouts here. We're recruiting a scout here. We're recruiting 2 Crush Girls here. Still recruiting our schoolgirl here. Recruiting a nurse here. Trying to get nurses to be able to do some healing on units as we go forward, I think, is going to be a pretty big issue. We're going to have to send out a pretty substantial army in the next couple turns. But we're kind of just waiting for that. Alright. I still have to do a bunch of item management, but that's okay. Okay, so I don't think we're actually doing too terribly much for Viridian City. So we've got more people moving into Viridian City, but other than basic recruitment, nothing's really changing in the city itself. Like, we're not casting... Oh, I forgot about that. We're casting Fairy Court. Yeah, this is why we have no nature gems. We're casting Fairy Court in Viridian City so that we can have a Fairy Queen, be an Earth 3, Nature, or no. Air 3, Nature 3 caster. That's going to be very useful to us for a bunch of different buffs. And something, we already got Kyogre for high nature, but they can take Kyogre away from us. So, in fact, this is actually a really dangerous turn for us. If someone were to grab Kyogre, we'd lose a substantial amount of stuff. But it's a risk that we're taking, right? So, fingers crossed, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, we don't get scalped on it. That would be kind of annoying. Forging Robe of Shadows, forging an Amulet of Anti-Magic, just forging a whole bunch of stuff. Attacking with Ilvik into Muspel. We're moving, so looking into Pewter's Lands. Still just moving our scouts in. We've already kind of talked about what our plan is. I think this kind of like central location in between Scraw Point and Urfel, Dreyer Caverns, Lilidor, and Wesh, right? Yeah, Pewter City's actually right here. So this whole kind of like section to the southeast of Cinnabar City, in between Cinnabar City and kind of Pewter City, we want to flood this area with stealthy units. And then we're probably going to pick a time, especially if we as a group, like the game, decides, hey, we're going to, in the turn 85 is going to be the last turn, right? Then I'm definitely going to position a lot of scout or a lot of stealthy units in specific ways, and we're going to hit very specific locations in response to that, right? But right now, the plan is to just make sure that he doesn't get infrastructure up on the places that don't have it. Because that's important, right? Him not being able to protect these locations is a big deal. So what that's going to do is that's going to force him to move large armies there to protect them while infrastructure is being built. And if he's got large armies dedicated to that type of stuff, he can't have large army. Well, he can, but he won't have those armies to back up other locations. Okay? So this is the push and pull. Just trying to push him in certain directions, have him respond to things in certain directions, and to go from there. I don't know how much he's going to actually respond to it, though, so we'll see. Okay? And that's really all that's happening in his land, in Pewter City, right? The so-called Cinnabar City, Pewter City front. Okay, moving on from that, heading over to Cyanwood. I think there's nothing really else that's going on over there. Nah, not really. Okay, so moving over to Cyanwood. Again, a lot of movement going on with recruits, with scouts. We're recruiting more Caterpies, more scouts, right? We're doing this whole thing, turning Caterpies into a very strong sacred unit in Butterfree, right? These units are stealthy. They've got several ranged attacks that are very good. They've got Poisonous Skin. They've got decent protection, considering, right? They're very useful units, so we're gonna try to get a couple of them going. And they're very high map move, right? 28 map move, very good. In Cyanwood City, we are doing a couple of different things that are going to matter this turn. Okay, probably the biggest is that we are casting Gateway. Okay, we are taking, Kia is taking 200 units over to Viridian City. Most of these, 94 of these units, are Radicates and Furrets. These are going to be pieced out into little stealthy parties, and those stealthy parties are going to move ahead of some big main armies. The rest of these units, the Meteorite Guard, the Trolls, these Apums, they are all going to get thrown into various big armies that are going to have lots of big battlefield magic, and hopefully we'll be able to handle a lot of different things. Basically the huge army that is amassing in Viridian City, which will move out in probably 3 to 5 turns. So Kia is gatewaying this over there, and then is probably going to teleport back. And that's probably the biggest deal. We've got some forging, more main gauches appearing, crowns of lead, Scutata Volturnus. We are forging a sword of many colors with Cameron the Photographer, right? If you take a look at this, it is this bad boy right here. Costs 25 Earth and 15 Astral, and it is an Element +1 situation. And as an actual weapon, it's interesting. It's got a Killing Light effect. That is armor negating area 5. That basically will fuck you up. It hits magic MR. So it's actually an interesting super combatant weapon. I don't think it's very good as far as that goes, honestly, but it's mostly the elemental +1. So, this is just something that we had the access to, and it wasn't super expensive, so it made sense to kind of do. What else are we doing? We are forging more coral blades, more flasks of holy water, moving people back and forth, and that's really kind of it. We're moving a bunch of black belt goes. We're still trying to get our blood hunting up. Research-wise, we're still aiming for blood 7. I think we're going to get about there, right? We should have about 77 blood slaves by the time we hit blood 7. Which is good, you know. I wish we had more, obviously, but it is what it is. See if there's any. I think that's mostly it. This has been a very big preparatory turn. Like, as you could see, we didn't have a whole lot of battles back and forth. I think the biggest thing for this turn, aside from all the prepping and getting the scouting network back up, is the planning and consideration that I've been doing over the thrones and their placement, right? We have 3 thrones very much in our purview that we are protecting or moving to protect at the moment, right? Debrithia is going to be all but impossible for anyone to take from us because of the amount of forces that we have in Cyanwood City. Great Dunes is relatively unprotected at the moment, but we are moving protection up to it, and we're going to figure out ways to deal with its supply issues. Dragonscale Mountains is pretty unprotected, but we have large military forces in the vicinity, and we're probably going to be taking, especially once we get the Mareep factory online, the first wave of Mareeps that comes out of that is all but guaranteed to be sent to Dragonscale Mountains. That actually isn't very many turns away if we think about it. So, and in fact, I might actually just send some of these units over instead. Once I ship Chuck out, I might just send some of these units there and then just wait for the reinforcements to reinforce the actual army. But figuring out these 3 and then these 2 is a big deal. So those 5 are very, very, very easy for me to obtain. Identifying 140 as a 6th, that is pretty potentially easy for me to obtain. I don't know that it's easy, but Atlantis has been having to put a lot of time and effort into dealing with Peter, and as you can see, Peter is still in the water, so that's an issue. But if there is some arbitrary turn timer that is placed on us, and I am able to prep well enough in advance, I can absolutely snag this game. Right? I can absolutely snatch enough thrones to potentially have more on that turn than Pewter does. Without that, though, this is just going to be a long, bloody game. Because we need so many thrones. Because we need 9 thrones in order to win. Right? If we actually do play this until someone gets 9 thrones, it's just going to be incredibly long and bloody. Incredibly long and bloody. So I don't know about all that. We'll see. But that's pretty much the turn. I've got to do some inventory management. We've got a hammer floating. We've got owl and lanterns and pokeballs, etc., to dish out. But the majority of this gear is being held for various reasons at the moment. Mostly stuff along the lines of, like, once we get ready to ship out this big army, we're going to have a lot of Steelix Champions, Queen of Storms, King of the Deeper Earth, right? We're going to have a lot of these units that are going to need a bunch of different protections. And we're kind of developing that right now, right? We're definitely going to need some good, like, protection gear for Ayla, right? We don't really need great protection gear for Barathras, right? But Ethereal would be nice, you know? Shit like that, so. That's what we're doing, is we're kind of, like, trying to build up these stores, but I'm trying to not put them on people yet, because I want to know... I'm actually, like, every time I play around, I'm actually, like, fully kitting out people, and then taking shit back off all of them. Because I don't want to leave that stuff on people at the moment, because I might need it elsewhere, and I might forget that I have it on them, etc., etc. Alright, that's going to be it for this turn, though. I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.